We're going to have some fun. I'm going to kick this on the FM, and we're going to learn everything that we need to know for this season. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's Kickstart. It's just almost 9 o'clock. It's right before. I have Dr. Aaron Chapa here in studio, where we're going to be talking about, if I understand correctly, gut health. Dr. Chapa, how you doing today?
Oh, Gardy. Dr. Chapa is in the house, and I feel good. It's going to be a good day. We're going to be talking all month long about north to south, from your brain to your bum.
Brain to your bum.
It's going to be gut health, and see if we can't help people strengthen that gut. 80% of all life starts in, or health is in the digestive tract. So if your digestive tract is an area where we should all be investing our time, our blood, our sweat, our tears into, because if you have symptom patterns that you weren't genetically born with, your digestion is number one place to look 80% of the time. And so we ended the October time frame getting everybody ready for the immune, craze, but it's going to be hitting. You'll start seeing more and more challenges in the health realm due to the onslaught of the candies that were consumed in mass proportion on the 31st. And then going into the holiday season, where we want to prepare people for navigating the landmines that are going to distract you from your health plan. They're going to lead you off the trail of good health and vibrant living. And we want to, at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, make sure that you're reminded that you can still have a fantastic holiday season. You can still enjoy all the things that you love, just in moderation. I know nobody likes that word, but it's so true. The reality is nothing below your taste buds really wants the things that you're probably putting in today. And I find too often that one meal can derail people for 3, 4, 5 days. I've even seen it derail people for 2 weeks. One cheat meal, a birthday celebration, a wedding celebration. And, of course, now we're right into the mix of it. We just finished the candy craze season, and I just literally was out trick-or-treating with my kids, and I'm watching. I mean, it was crazy to see how little people were out in their driveways as normal. I was excited to see the people that were out in their driveways, but people would just leave buckets of candy on the front porch. I mean, and kids were just like, filling
Don't mind
up.
if I do.
Yeah,
Right.
Don't mind if I do. Like,
That's what it's there for.
Yeah, not one, not two pieces, like gobs of it. And I'm just thinking to myself, my gosh, have we not taught these kids moderation?
What have we been talking about for years now on KHEA?
Hello.
They need to listen, tune in.
That's right. So, it's just important that we continually recognize that moderation is the key, and finding the balance is paramount if you want to live vibrantly, be healthy, be strong, and move your health from where you are right now to where you want it to be. And again, digestion is that place that helps us get into that space of health, wellness, vitality. And because I've literally built an entire practice the last 16, 17 years in practice on the digestive tract. And if I can comfortably come in and talk for the next 4 weeks on gut health, and I could. I mean, I sit through seminar after seminar. I sit with doctors after doctors, and we sit around round tables and we discuss challenging cases, and we discuss fun cases and successful miracle cases. And every case comes down to what you eat's important, but what you
don't eat.
What you don't eat, it's more important. So we've got to get those inflammatory foods out of our diet, and we've got to get good, healthy, nourishing foods back in our diet more consistently than the inflammatory junk foods that are tearing our bodies apart. And so that is our goal. That's our mission. That's our plan to help move you forward this November, moving what we call north to south, from your brain to your bum, in order to help your body feel better, live better, be better, one bite at a time.
So you were talking about north to south and when it comes to your gut, but does it start at your mouth?
Yes.
Okay.
And so one of the things that when we kind of get into it actually starts in your brain, even higher than your mouth. And so when we look at the brain, have you ever just smelled food and felt, oh my gosh, your taste buds start kind of,
course,
rattling a little bit, and then you see the food and you're thinking, oh, that sizzle. You hear the sizzle, see the sizzle, smell the sizzle. Oh, you just can't wait to sink your lovely teeth and touch the sizzle. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all of those sensations are neurological sensations. And your taste buds, for example, there's cranial nerve number 12. It is receiving all of those different sensory inputs. Your cranial nerve number 1 is smelling those inputs. Cranial nerve 3, 4, and 6 is stimulating the eyes to see the beauty of the food for which you're about to indulge in. And then you got your ocular nerve, cranial nerve 8, that's hearing the different aspects of food. And it's just wild that your brain is involved so much in the digestive process. I mean, we could even go a step further, Gardy, and say just the mere fact that I'm thinking about sinking my teeth right now into some baby back ribs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can just see the smoke coming off and the barbecue sauce dripping off the bone and the meat, and you're thinking to yourself, that dipped in some mashed potatoes. I mean, what would you go with? If you were going to paint a picture of food to rattle people's taste buds.
I see the commercial. Whenever you do the song, it automatically makes me think of the commercial. I ate a cookie 2 days ago that reminded me of like childhood somewhere. It hit something in my brain. It's like, man, I've had this flavor before. I don't even know what it's called, but it reminds me of something, and it makes me feel good, really.
That's right. So food, see, it makes you feel good. I mean, and it's really interesting now that I'm just even painting these pictures and talking it through a little bit, you start recognizing, like, how does food really make you feel good? I mean, you put in eggs, or you put in a piece of toast, or you put in some guacamole with some chips, or whatever the food source is, and just sometimes hearing that crunch inside your mouth, smelling the food in the environment, the barbecue smoke at your neighbors, and you're like, man, I didn't get invited. Hello.
Yeah.
Don't they know I want some brisket too?
Right.
I sit here and think, this food goes in the body as a substance, and it's broken down into a very molecularly small piece of seemingly nothing, and that your body assimilates that microcosm of nutrient into something that can be reused for our body's organism growth and development, like our muscles to evolve and our brain to stay sharp and our body to regenerate itself faster than it's degenerating. And so your body is preparing for digestion, or prepares the body for digestion just through your senses. And so we always want to make sure that people are aware that their brain is way more involved in their senses than they may realize. And I want people to recognize that you should make food prep fun. You should get your kids involved in the cooking and planning process and help them see these same ideas that I'm describing here, that your senses are such an important piece. And so the art, I'm a part of these food groups because I have coaches and mentors that are my business coaches and mentors, but they have hobbies, and it's like I think it's like Are We Foodies, or We Are Foodies, or something like that. And then you got the Taco Tuesday people and all these different aspects of good food. I mean, food is just so sensationalizing to our system as a whole. And if we could get our kids to enroll in the idea that fresh, vibrant foods can lead to fresh, vibrant living, and you can have fun doing it, I think that is a win-win. And so plan to cook at home more, so that you create the space where you can teach your kids. A lot of people are worried about messing up the kitchen. A lot of people are worried about dirtying up the kitchen. Hey, a dirty kitchen is a well-used kitchen, which means there's a lot of love that goes into it. Because when you learn how to integrate spices, I would say in the last couple of years, I've gotten really good at integrating different spices into my cooking routines. because food, for the most part, just takes the flavor of whatever you're cooking it in, whether it's the oil, the type of oil, whether it's bacon grease, whether it's butter, whether it's olive oil, whether it's coconut oil, whether it's avocado oil, or it takes the flavor of the spices that we use. Or if you even simply, like lately, I've been just taking onion powder, and there's nothing else in it except onion powder, and sprinkling it over some asparagus, and delightful, and it's raw asparagus, so it's crunchy. Which people go, you can eat asparagus raw? Yeah, I mean, and as a matter of fact, I think it's better than cooked asparagus. Now, granted, if you cook it with some bacon wrapped around it, that'd be the best. But man, the only way you get creative with the foods is to use the foods more often and start tinkering with spices and tinkering with ideas. And with social media and pictures all around, you could just take screenshots of different food ideas and start incorporating them. Get your kids to find some cool food ideas of something new. And if you, parents, want to inspire your kids and to eat new foods, you should eat new foods. Consider you being the lead learner and the lead taste tester, so that you can lead your kids down what we call the primrose path of being open to the idea of food. I remember being on a cruise ship, and although I wasn't, preparing or cooking the food as a kid, my grandpa and I would go down to the main deck where they had all the fancy food, and every morning for breakfast and every evening for dinner, him and I would sit and have dinner. Now, sometimes my family would be there at the dinner, but rarely would they be there at breakfast. It'd be just mostly my grandpa and I. And he would literally say, look, it doesn't matter what you order. If you don't like it, we'll find something different. Just my desire for you is to try everything these chefs make, because you might find you like it. And sure enough, I've just, for the most part, been pretty open-minded to the idea that food can be something I like, and there's still today, there's foods that I don't like. Like, I don't really love eggplant. I've made myself eat it because I wanted to see if I could acquire a taste for it, but I don't love it. Now, I've had some people prepare it really well, and it tasted decent, but it's definitely not my go-to. I can smell it right now. I can look at it right now. I can taste the texture of it right now. I'm like, no, it's not really my thing. You know what I mean? But then I can take a mushroom, and like a big old portobello mushroom, and make it taste like a steak. And people go, how do you do that? Man, some balsamic vinegar and some garlic powders and some different spices, and you can make that like a Mediterranean steak. And you go, man, that's going to take a lot of spices to get me to think, well, maybe at first. But what if you did it frequently enough and you taught your body to appreciate the texture because you appreciate the spice that you used, and then you start dwindling down the spices as much, and you start appreciating the actual flavor of what you're eating. A lot of people just don't eat slow enough, chew enough times to appreciate what they're actually putting in their mouth. We're such a culture where we just speed things through, and man, we're still talking about brain and mouth, like. That just we can't even get to the esophagus yet, where things start coming down the pike, So we're all the brain is constantly evaluating things that we're putting in and around our head. Is the food we're putting in safe? And so I think that if the brain's assessing whether or not we're stressed, how often are we eating in the car? How often do we actually have meals together as families sitting around a table consistently throughout a work week? I mean, I think the percentage, I don't know what the stat is, but it's low, and I'd be curious, even with our listeners, how many people eat at home with their families together around a table every night, or at least 5 times a week? And I bet you the percentage would be, less than 5%. I'd venture to guess it would be that low. And so if your brain is perceiving stress, it changes the way you digest your food. And of course, you change the way you digest your food by voluntarily or involuntarily. Are you chewing your food regularly or fast enough? And your brain says, do not eat because I'm running from a tiger, and you're shoveling food down. Your body's just not going to assimilate the nutrients that it needs from what you just ate. Or does it have time to eat and get it all done, right? So we're just we always are looking at, the brain is assessing your environment. And when we're stressed out, when we're exhausted, and there's no good level of communication between the brain and the gut because the body is surviving, well, then we start looking at, one gentleman said, Mark Victor Hansen, a friend of mine. Yeah, he's one of my buddies. No, he's just a book writer that I listen to quite a bit of several of his material. He says, people are so stressed out that they're full of it. Because when you put all the stress of fight or flight into play, this activation of this system called the sympathetic nervous system, your body is not in a digestive rest and digest state. And so a lot of times food just sits like a brick in your stomach and people get constipated. And if the dude don't move, the dude don't groove.
The dude don't groove. I got it right here.
I mean, yeah. And some people have even changed it now to the do. If the do don't move, the do don't groove. It's not a good thing. You start finding sickness and illness. And when we start looking at different health conditions, people come in and they say, oh, well, I'm good. I have a bowel movement every day, except, it's like from 6 days ago that, what came out today. They're slow. It's too slow. It's too slow. We've got to make sure that things are moving through the body in a 16 to 20 hour window so that things are mobilizing through and not rotting as it's going through the system. So it's just really important for you to recognize how important the brain and your senses are in working with your digestive system. And we want to make sure that we activate different parts of your brain, your taste receptors, your neurological receptors, so that you're and have a state of mind where your body is in a rest and digest state, where you're enjoying you're allowing your body to enjoy the assimilation process, the building block process for good health, for good vitality, for good long-term regenerative effects from food. Food is medicine, but it can also be your poison, because what you eat is important, but what you don't eat,
it's more important.
It's more important. And so we have to recognize that fake food, make-believe food will inevitably hurt you, and it does hurt us. And we've got to help people see that, hey, what that is a sometimes food. I watched somebody feed a puppy, a brand new puppy, a hot dog, and then shortly thereafter, the little dog was upset, stomach, anxious looking, and then vomited everywhere.
It's cannibalism.
I mean, I guess right. I mean, a dog eating hot dog. You're right, Gardy. I didn't even think. See, that's not okay. It's not okay. It's not normal.
It's not.
Not normal.
Mm-mm.
So, this idea of digestion and is such a big deal, and we're going into the next 2 months where we're going to be exposed to plenty of digestively sometimes foods that we are going to call all the time food because it's the time of year it is. But then, people have done really well, but a lot of people have not done really well in staying on a good, healthy living diet because of the whole circumstances that we're all living in 2020. COVID has definitely changed the way of the world at this point. And now, instead of the average weight gain being 10 pounds this year, it's 20 pounds.
I had to stop working out. The gyms were closed. I couldn't do my martial arts, anything else. But now I'm back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
things changed.
But things changed at the holidays, where people are normally taking a break from those things. So although you're an anomaly because you're going back to the gym in a season where people really hadn't been going to the gym, or people have a tendency to slow down going to the gym. And so we've got to get active. It goes back to, if the dude don't move, the dude don't groove. And so I always teach that if you would eat in order to activate the brain well, superfoods, green leafy vegetables, more vegetables, period. I mean, the average American right now is consuming 3 vegetables per week. They should be eating 3 to 5 a day. Does that make sense? Not 3 to 5 per week. And if we could get people eating more consistently vegetables on a routine basis, their body's going to get the phytonutrients, phytochemicals, the fiber that helps their body do good digestion. And good digestion leads to good assimilation. Good assimilation leads to building blocks that you can count on for longevity, vitality, and good, healthy living.
What's assimilation?
Assimilation is the putting together of a puzzle, a bunch of pieces of a puzzle into something that is usable, or in a puzzle's perspective, it paints a picture. So if I want to build healthy muscle, or if I want to burn healthy fat, or if I want to activate my immune system, there's certain types of things I want to go get so that my body can assimilate a train of resources to go support detoxification, to go support building muscle, or go support metabolically burning off fat, or cleansing the lymphatics. So food, again, there's intentionality with food. We should be consuming 35, 36 meals a week that I would classify as your best perfect meals, and then one meal a week, not a one day a week, one meal a week out of that 35 meals, 35, 36 meals, that you would call a cheat meal. And that cheat meal could be just whatever you want. That's your kind of like reward for knocking it out of the park 35, 36 times. And people go, hey, I think I can do that. I mean, 35 meals, if you look at it, that's 7 days a week. And so that means I get a cheat meal a week if I'm eating 5 meals a day. That could be an option. Or maybe it's every other week that you're getting into a cheat meal because your 35, 36 meals takes you, every other week. So these are just like concepts to play with your brain with, so that, because the less you put in the form of insulin spiking, blood sugar spiking, processed toxic foods into your body, the less stress your body has, and the more it can focus on building healthy tissue, healthy systems to detox, healthy systems to keep a healthy immune system or a healthy brain function. And there are 7 hormones that raise your blood sugar. 7. There is one hormone that lowers your blood sugar, insulin. And yet we live in a culture where obviously things are backwards, because people are running around with diabetes, prediabetes, hypoglycemia, and we rationalize all these diagnoses: hangry, agitated easily if you miss a meal, headachy, lightheaded if you miss a meal, fatigue if you miss a meal, can't get, lack of productivity if I miss a meal, ADD if I miss a meal. And all of a sudden you start seeing these are all blood sugar related situations that now we call normal. But if you start looking at your kids and you're like, oh, well, I didn't feed them breakfast, and then they went to school and they got sugary, somethings out of a box with, fake, white colored milk substances that are obviously not healthy for their body. And then they eat, fried pizza and fries for lunch. And then they come home and have a fruit snack. And then they probably eat some chicken nuggets for dinner. And then maybe even a little midnight snack candy, and then they go to bed. Well, if you look at that diet, it's pure carbohydrates and sugar, and fried food, which all those things spike insulin, spike blood sugar, and clog up the liver. And when you spike your blood sugar over and over and over again, your body starts to predict what your tendencies are. It's like learned behaviors, and your body can just smell it and know, oh, I need to pump out X amount of insulin. I'm going to go ahead and do that, so I'm ahead of the game. And I'm going to pump out this many enzymes. And by the way, if you're eating fake food, make-believe food, sometimes foods, your body has to do all the work, instead of like if you eat raw foods and your body, the food that you're putting in has the ability to digest itself, and your body can work together with the food breaking down. Now you've got this perfect longevity cycle for healthy enzyme production, and that healthy enzyme production then is something that we want to count on. Stomach acid production, the older people are getting, the more they're relying on antacids and these products that reduce the burning sensation, the indigestion, the reflux, the tendencies to have pain after they eat a meal. And they are compounding their problem, not supporting it, just by alleviating the symptom. But the reality is they need to eat real food, and their body won't have a need to use up all of its own natural resources to break down the food. And so when it comes to food, and veggies is specific, we've just got to get people eating more. Well, how do you do that? Well, number one, let's use new spices. I go back to that because most vegetables literally taste like whatever you spice it to taste like. And that new spice will send a new sensation to your brain, and your brain has to adapt to it, so it increases your metabolism. And the more adaptive your brain becomes, the more it starts to enjoy, hey, well, what is he going to do different? What's he going to do different? How is that going to change next time? And so just because you don't like the way Brussels sprouts tasted as a kid doesn't mean you won't like them as an adult. And just because you don't like them whole doesn't mean you won't like them halved or in quarters. Or if you don't like them the way you have been making them, man, let's throw some onions and bacon and other spices in it and see if we can't call it sparkly like my daughter does.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I had 3 patients at our chili cook-off. And by the way, y'all missed an incredible chili cook-off.
Who won?
Jennifer and Molly's team won, and so congratulations to them. They yes, that's right.
Good job, guys.
Golf clap.
Way to go.
Clap. Yes, very good, very good. I'm so proud of them. They came in with a chicken green chili and a hatch green chili or something. I don't remember. But it looked different, and so I think it stood out amongst the crowd But all the chilies were delicious. I mean, and it was really fun to listen to the patients because some of the patients were like, "Oh man, I'm a traditionalist. This one tastes real more traditional. I'm going with this one. This one's really filling. I like the quinoa idea they put in this one. Yeah. I've never. What is quinoa? How you say that again? Quinoa? Yeah, quinoa.
Quinoa.
Yeah.
Quinoa.
And yeah, that's right. No, not
Oh,
canola.
not canola.
Not canola.
Quinoa.
Quinoa.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Quinoa. But no, the hatch green chicken chili was the winner. But it was just interesting to see like how 3 different types of chili. So just because you don't like a type of veggie doesn't mean that you won't like it. Just change it next time.
Prepare it a different way.
That's right. So like when I teach people to make it spaghetti squash, for example, I tell them you can't just eat it once. You got to eat it 3 different times because the first time you're going to overcook it and it's going to be mushy. And some people don't like mushy, right?
Yeah.
The second time you're going to undercook it, it's going to be too crispy. Well, some people don't like crispy, right? The third time you'll get the texture right. The 4th time you'll get the spices right. And that's because it's your 4th time to try it. You know what I mean? Be open to messing it up a couple times and find that you like it at 17 minutes, not 22 minutes. And that's literally how I learned how to make spaghetti squash. And I tried, at first I was putting spaghetti sauces that I would find at the store that had a few ingredients and as little ingredients as possible. No sugar if I could find it. Very difficult. But we ruin so much stuff, by the way, with sugar. We just assume people have no taste buds and that they need gobs and gobs of sugar and they need gobs and gobs of salt. That's why we talked about last month to avoid the 3 whites, which was what? Let's avoid white flour, let's avoid white sugar, and let's avoid white salt because the white salt's over-consumed and those preservatives start drying our bodies out and stressing our kidneys out, stressing our blood pressure out, stressing our blood out. That's never good. The white sugar is feeding cancer. The white sugar is feeding the wrong infectious gut bugs that begin to rob you of good digestive capacity. So now your assimilating abilities, your building block abilities, your manufacturing abilities for healthy living go down the tube because you've sabotaged the workers. You started hiring cheap labor because you were putting in, cheap resources. And then you go a step above and start putting make-believe food in the white flour, and now you're putting in tons of fake artificial B vitamins and what we call fortified or enriched flours, which basically is like, hey, Gardy, I'm going to reach in your pocket, take that $100 bill you got, and I'm going to give you $5 back, and I'm going to say you've been fortified. You've been enriched. But I don't want you to be. I want you to see that's bad. That's bad thinking. You know, if I take $100 from you and give you $5 back, I made out like a bandit because I just stole from you, right?
Because you could do that to a kid or someone who doesn't know any better. It's like, hey, here's a bill. You know, let's just trade. And if you don't know, then you don't know. I think that's the same thing when it comes to nutrition and food. If you don't know, you can't say that's not an even trade.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got to teach the people how to enjoy the different aspects of fooding so that they appreciate not only do spices matter, and that's a conversational piece that we'll have, but it's hard not to just talk about it because we want to give people ideas. Like my wife and I, when we were making our chili, we were reading on this website that said like if you put what are they, cinnamon in your chili, it'll change it up. And if you put a little bit of coffee grinds in it, it'll change up the flavor. And you just got to trust us. Well, okay. We've never done that one before. We didn't have time to taste test that.
I'm just gonna trust you.
Well, let's trust you. Let's see what happens. The worst thing that happens is nobody likes it. But it turned out to be pretty darn good. Worked out. And so that is the idea of being okay making mistakes whenever it comes to good, healthy living, is just going in there and adding a little of this and a little of that and have some fun. When we're looking at activating the brain, we are always looking at different foods. What does your food plate look like? Because when you look at it, Gardy, as some baby back ribs and potatoes and green beans or something, that's what you see. But what your body sees is how many essential fatty acids are in there, how many vitamins are in there, how many minerals are in there. Does it have my core foundation? And so if it has the foundation, then your body can really leverage that and use that to your advantage. If it doesn't have those foundational support, then the brain begins to be sabotaged, and we have to come in as nutritionists and fill in the gaps for you. So I had a guy come in yesterday that, the first 2 weeks he was just smoking it, doing great. He was so happy, feeling good, life was good. Then he said stress happened the second 2 weeks. The second 2 weeks, he was okay for the first week of the stress. And then the second week of the stress, he stopped taking the supplements. And then he said, my diet's been really terrible for the last week and a half. And I'm like, okay, no problem. So there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ. Let's just move on forward, And so how are we going to get back on track? What I've found is the reason that I supplement so well is because the supplements provide, look at all that. Hey, one of them even broke. The supplements so well because the supplements provide
I'm just going to take these real quick.
That's right.
Be
the
healthy.
Baseline of what my body needs from an inflammatory perspective, from a transcription factor, ribonucleic acid, mitochondrial, cellular, stimulatory perspective. Look at all that. Look at all those supplements. Aren't they pretty?
They actually are. It smells kind of like a cayenne pepper.
There is cayenne pepper. Nice, dude. Of all the things that you picked out of there, Gardy's got a nose. Man.
It works
got
too.
A nose. Gardy's got it. That's awesome. And so we want to make sure that we improve the communication between what your brain perceives as healthy and your craving patterns. So the supplements outperform your craving patterns, and then you're more apt to be willing to make a good decision with the food.
Hey, we have a really good question. I'm kind of wondering myself. This one is from Amy. Amy, thank you for watching. Feel free to share this out. Let us know if you have any questions. And you are watching on KHEA. She said, oh, my. You take that every day? Is this this your everyday supplement bag?
That is Dr. Chapa's supplement bag.
Have you taken some out of here already?
I have.
How many have?
I've already had. I don't know how many handfuls I've had this morning.
So
I've already had one handful this morning. There's a weird morning.
So you've had a handful. So this was more full, and you take this every day.
Yep, every day. And so I make it before I leave the house, and yeah, That's it.
I have a question. What would happen to you if you did not take this? Like if I took these and I was like, you can't take these today, Dr. Chapa.
Well,
you got to rip it out of my hand, you know?
Well, no, I just go home and get more.
Well, okay, let's say they were out.
But, so let's say that, so I would probably fine because I eat really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
So in my car, I have a backup stash of some brain supplements that I would use and some essential fatty acids that I definitely want to make sure I keep up with. But let's say, again, I don't have those. I've had, I've had 4 eggs this morning and, a piece of Ezekiel muffin that was the cinnamon raisin. And then when I get out of our show today, I'll go have some shrimp and about 5 ounces of shrimp and spinach. And then in a couple hours, I'll have some sweet potato and some meat. So I eat a very low-carb diet, a no insulin spiking diet. My blood sugar rises gracefully, and then it comes down gracefully. And so I don't have a lot of spikes throughout the day in my blood sugar because of the food choices that I eat. So my body would probably be okay. Now, have I always been there? No. So what happens to most people that have a standard American diet, which we call the SAD American diet, SAD, SAD American diet, is they're putting in all these fake foods. And these fake foods begin to rob your body of vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids. They stress your liver. They clog up your lymphatics. They cause immunological decline. And so when your body is internalizing all that energy, there's a disrupt between the brain and your GI tract. And so the supplements slowly but surely begin to restore the communication lines between your brain and your GI tract. And we stimulate, like one of the products that are in there's a product called parotid PMG. And parotid PMG is for your parotid gland. You have a gland right here in your cheekies called the parotid gland. And it navigates the upper immune activity in the neck called the hyoid ring. And there's a lot of lymphoid tissue, immunological tissue in that area, and it's telling your tonsils and those tissues, hey, I just saw a bug and 2 parasites come in on that spinach leaf. Make sure that you zap them. So it reaches over there and snags those things. So that's why you want to chew well so that the parotid glands can do a good job of not just secreting your salivary enzymes for digestion and preparation, but also for regulation of potential pathogens that are coming down. And then the parotid gland, in the meantime, is sending a message simultaneously down to the liver to say, hey, man, just in case the stomach doesn't get everything that I'm about to send it, which we'll talk about in just a moment, I need you to pump out some extra enzymes. And then it's also had sent out a message to the stomach and said, hey, there was reports that we saw 2 parasites and a pathogen, a bacterial something or other, on the spinach leaves that were coming down in this last bite of food. And so I need you to make sure that you're pumping out extra stomach acids. And those stomach acids should basically obliterate the parasite's ability to make any ecology standard, of living in your gut lining, and the bacteria from colonizing and overtaking the gut lining. And so now you've got your hyoid ring, your stomach, and your liver involved in digestion just because you did a better job of chewing and activating the parotid gland. And so I use this parotid supplement to help activate that and train that system to be better. Why? Because I, just like most Americans, was raised on fake make-believe food. I mean, I had doctors tell my parents that butter and eggs were going to kill me. And so naturally, my parents, being, caring and loving, decided, let's take the kid off of what? Eggs and butter. And then what they raised me on? Sugar, 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 sugar. Now, what did that look like? Did they actually give me bowls of sugar? No. But waffles every morning, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day for lunch, pizzas, pizza pockets, bagel bites, all those wonderful things that people remember us in the 1980s and 90s, right? But all that stuff converted into sugar. All that stuff spiked my insulin. All that stuff didn't serve my body from a nutritional perspective. So I craved a lot, and I was overweight, and I had health issues, cholesterol problems, as a kid that was under 15 years old, Gardy. And so what the supplements do is the supplements provide essential fats. They provide cofactors for my mitochondria to stimulate more oxygen, more adenosine triphosphate, ATP, energy, money. That translates into communication inside the cell to do what it's told to do. I've got in here greens. I've got super greens. I've got chlorellas. I've got B vitamins. I've got all kinds of different nutrients, plant-based oils, fish oils, and all this stuff supports healthy skin, healthy tissue, healthy brain function. So now when my body smells food, I can walk past junk food very easily because the supplements have outperformed my emotional attachment to food, and I have no more emotional addiction to food. So when we put people on detoxes, we're improving brain-gut communication. We're detoxing their body of the filth that they've been carrying that's slowing them down and not allowing them to provide health and vitality to their cells long term. And so if you took these away from me, I'd be okay for a little while. I'd feel naked because I do it so often. But I've got mentors that literally, it seems like he takes more than I do.
Is there about 150 pills in there? I was trying to count, but not count. I was like, okay, this is 10, and I was like, this is 50, 100, 150.
There's probably,
Yeah.
and people go, that's just absurd, and maybe it is. Maybe, but you got to remember, how long have I been doing this? I've been doing this almost 16, 17 years, so this is like old hat for me, and I didn't start here.
Right.
I know what every one of these products does in my body. I have products in here that regulate the way estrogen is stored in my body. Because as I get older, it's very natural for men to have a conversion problem into more dominance towards estrogen. Well, if I can eliminate or slow that process down, get it to never happen, well, I guess that's eliminate, then I feel like I'm doing my body a service because I want to be a strong 80, 90, 100-year-old man so that I can be 125, fully functional spirit, mind, and body. I'm setting that sail. I'm setting that foundation for the future of what life can look like, right?
Right. Here's another comment from Amy. She said, I thought I was doing good taking 10 supplements a day. Jennifer has her on. She said it's day 2, and your office is kind of communicating back with her, and Molly is as well, just saying, hey, you got to remember, Chapa's been doing this for about 20 years and did not start there,
That's
but
right.
built up to it.
But where you're at, and this is what I find is fascinating. I'm a scientist. This is what I do, and I really value the idea that nutrition is the fundamental backbone that allows my body to spiral off out of control or get traction and move forward in a positive direction. And so if all life starts and stops at the cellular level and nutrition is the driver, the more I read and the more I study and the more I realize that food doesn't provide the mineral base, the vitamin base, nor the essential fatty acid base that builds healthy tissue, I have to go searching elsewhere to find it. And therefore, I've found that supplements can provide that. Now, on the note of supplements, 97.5%, I really want you to grab that, 97.5% of all supplements are either not safe or not effective, which means they're killing you more than they're serving you. So knowing what you're taking is important. Who puts you on those 10 pills? So Miss Amy's got somebody checking in with her, Jennifer or Dr. Amber or myself, and we are figuring out based on your history, your blood work, different tests that we offer in the office, your omega quant test, your essential fatty acid load, how much of each one of those products, and we have vetted out those products to make sure not only are they safe, they are effective. Because I don't want you wasting your time, your money, your blood, sweat, and tears. But I'm telling you, I had a patient argue with me the other day that taking a multivitamin 1 a day is acceptable. I wish. You know what I mean? Your body's more dynamic than that. Now, if you don't take a vitamin a day, you're going to die tomorrow? No. But, if you eat a hot dog today or make-believe food today, or if you eat, all this excess sugar today, is it going to kill you tomorrow? No. But I have seen kids go home from Halloween parties sick as dogs, vomiting, upset tummy, and moody and cranky for a week. I've seen one meal derail a person into their cravings for 2 weeks. And I've seen as simple as just putting some healthy blood sugar capacity supplements back in to stabilize them, supporting their endocrine system, their glands, their pituitary gland, their thyroid gland, their adrenal gland, their gonadal glands. All of a sudden, they get back on track. How is that possible? Because the body needs to be nourished. Most people that are suffering with ailments today are suffering from malnutrition. And nutrition comes through how well are you chewing, how well of a relationship mentally, emotionally, sensationally do you have with the foods? Like, are you so addicted that you can't walk past the donut? Like, you should be able to go smell the yeast in a good piece of hamburger bun or kolache bread and go, that's all I needed, just to smell it. But your body will definitely pump out certain enzymes and start preparing for that because it remembers. It knows,
Just from the smell.
Just from the smell. And so we've got to look at what you smell, and how good your smeller is determines digestion effects down in the stomach and the liver and your pancreas. And it's just fascinating, really, that even though we are a tube from mouth to hind end, and if an ant crawled in your mouth and went through the whole tubular system, that little ant never technically went into your body. And that's a weird thing for people to think about. The first time that it was explained to me, my brain like turned to the side and it bent sideways in half. And I was like, what did he just say? And God bless you, Dr. G. And he says, no, like literally, if an ant goes in your mouth and out your hind end, he never technically went in because he was in the tunnel. It's not until he goes through the enterocyte membrane, your intestinal wall membrane, that he gets into your bloodstream. And there is where havoc can be wreaked if it is a foreign body. It's just like, war. If you set up enemy lines and you don't want your boundaries crossed and those boundaries are penetrated, you're susceptible to injury. You're susceptible to infiltration. You're susceptible to attack and to losing your land or losing, ground, right? And so your body is constantly fighting to keep the walls healthy and strong, and you've got 26 feet of intestinal tissue that has to be guarded. And you've got these tissues are doing at every junction, there is either water being absorbed or things being broken down or bacteria present in order to draw out what is necessary. It's a giant chemistry set. And it's so much more than a tube, although simply a tube. Mm-hmm. And I think that is just the cleverness of God Almighty, in that he creates simple yet so unbelievably intricate. And I think that is a beautiful thing, that we can just take a step back and breathe in and say, thank you, Jesus, for knowing how to put this body together. You said in your word that you knit me together in my mother's womb, that you knew me, that you called me, that you set me apart before time began. In such a time as this, you knew the good things. And even in the way my body digests food, something that seems so innocent, something that seems so insignificant, but something that is so unbelievably powerful, to make sure that the gut lining bacteria are in operational balance, a healthy homeostatic state where you don't have too much good bacteria, you don't have too much bad bacteria, you don't have too much good yeast, you don't have too much bad yeast. You have the right amount. Just like Goldilocks. Remember, she didn't like all three porridges. She liked the one that was just right. She didn't like all the beds. She liked the one that was what, Gardy? Just right.
It's Baby Bear's bed.
It's Baby Bear's bed. He's always the best. I mean, what we do for our kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
We make their porridge better. Their bed is better. I mean, it's just always better.
It's the way it works.
And so how do we get, the mouth to cooperate with the stomach and the liver and the small intestine? And we do that first. We've got to make sure that we are chewing our food, because the saliva has time to lubricate the food, and it has enzymes in it to help break down the food, or at least start the breakdown process. And then we go a little bit further, and we see that the saliva can be slowed down, if you will, by dehydration. So making sure that you're drinking enough water when you're not eating. So we always say drink water 30 minutes away from food. Mm-hmm. And you want to be drinking about 1 liter of water, or if you're measuring as ounces, 32 ounces per 50 pounds of body weight. And we set that note because even if you're exercising, we know that we'll get you really close to what your daily requirements are, 32 ounces per 50 pounds of body weight. And so if you don't have enough healthy fats, it offsets the salivary production of its digestive capacity in the mouth. If you don't chew enough, which we've talked about a couple times, then now your food comes in as too big. And we've got to be chewing anywhere from, Molly and I sat through this class, and Jennifer, that 20 to 40 times the guy was sitting there talking about, you got to chew 20, 40 times. It seemed like he spent 20 minutes on just mouth digestion and how important it was. Guys, just chew your food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And chew with your mouth closed if you're a kid, or even if you're an adult. Don't smack in your wife's ear. She doesn't like that. And so recognize that God gave you some teeth in order to chew up the cut, if you will, and so that you can prepare that bolus, that food substrate, for better digestion into more usable resources that can be assimilated. That's y'all's word of the day. Assimilate nutrition for better long-term health. Assimilate nutrition for better long-term health starts in the mouth, starts in the brain, and so we're just working north to south. Bitter herbs. If you were to leverage, so we use all kinds of different bitter herbs. What is a bitter herb? Chamomile, dandelion, gentian, golden seal, milk thistle, valerian, wormwood. These are all different tools that we can use to stimulate salivary enzyme production, stomach acid production, enzymatic activity. When people go to restaurants, I encourage them, especially if they are prone to indigestion, if they're prone to challenges with respect to reflux or heartburn, or they feel really bloated after a meal, if they would just take sparkling water and some bitters, which every bar has for people that have upset tummies, and a lot of times people ask you, do you have an upset tummy? You said, yeah, or you can just say, no, I just enjoyed the drink, and they'll bring you sparkling water and then the gentian and the bitters, and you sip on that. One, you look like you have a sparkly little fun drink, and two, you're preparing your digestive tract. You're going to sit there and wait 20 minutes anyway for your food, if you're going out on a date or something, or you're out with, at a standard restaurant, and that wait time is perfect for this type of digestive support into your body. And so these bitter herbs then come in, they stimulate your appetite. They help your body handle toxins better, especially if the food might have something on it that doesn't need to be there. It reduces your appetite for sugar. It heals the mucosal membranes in the gut lining. It can help alleviate gas and bloating. It stimulates more gastric production so that you better have a chance to assimilate, there's that word again, for better health, nutrition, into something your body can use. So bitter herbs are just a powerful, powerful tool whenever it comes to serving your body. And so as we're wrapping up today, because we're going to keep moving down this train of digestive health, I want to remind everybody that Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center always is out to help you understand the power of food. It always starts with food. It starts in your digestive tract. 80% of your health is in your GI tract. So if we can help your body live better, be better, and stay better one bite at a time, that's what we want to do. So we want you to choose wisely this holiday season. We want you to get excited about opportunities to have a different meal tradition that you add into your family traditional parties or your family traditional get-togethers and gatherings, and let new foods become a conversation piece on the importance of what is real food, what is all the stuff we've been eating all those years. And life does need to change, and we need to start setting up our kids for better traditions and better ways to mobilize health into their lives, because these guys don't know what they don't know. They can't be living on fast food, make-believe food, and expect good health. It never will work. So at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we truly believe that life always starts and stops at the cellular level. And if you get your nutrition right, you get your health right. And so we've got some great events always going on at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. Last week we had a fantastic immune class on how to build healthy immunity, and you can go back and catch that show and an event. You can come to our next event coming up November, I believe, 17th. It's called Don't Stuff It, Love It class. And so we're going to talk about all the different foods that you can love through the holidays, and we encourage you to give a good, honest sampling too. And then that's on November 17th at 6:30. November 11th, right around the corner next week, Mommy Meetup.
I'm there.
And I know you always love going to those Mommy Meetups. You always wear your wig?
Yeah, well, just this one.
Yeah. You should have seen me
my normal one.
You should have seen me on Halloween. I had people thought I had a wig on. It was my real hair picked
Really?
out. It was pretty legit. And then November 27th, we got something really special, a Black Friday sale. Prepaid package holders get a 20% off on all their supplements. All other patients, 10% off on all their supplements. So, email your orders by November 15th if possible. That gives us a opportunity to make sure that we have everything in-house and in stock. If not, you have to wait for a little bit of it. But we're excited to offer that to you guys this year. It's something we tried last year, and it seemed to be a fun experience to watch and to be a part of. And we just wanted to, again, be a blessing to you guys in any way we can to make it health and wellness affordable, because we recognize that insurance doesn't cover a lot of the health and wellness trends going on today and the alternative medicine paths that people would like to take. And so we do our very best to keep our prices affordable. We offer different programs throughout the month in order to give you discounts, and so you just got to be a part of what Living Well is doing. Visit our website at justlivewell.com. Make sure that you are, if you're interested in losing inches for the holidays, we got our Zerona laser that disrupts fat cells and causes the fat cells to be more metabolically active. It activates the cell to release toxins and to get rid of cholesterol and get rid of different things that your body cannot use so that you are a healthier human. We need you as healthy as possible. We need your brains healthy as possible, because as we talk about digestion this month, we're going to see that everything you eat affects your brain, everything you eat affects your hormones, everything you eat affects your immune system, and everything you eat affects your longevity. That's how long you're going to live, and the type of living you're going to do, the vitality, the vim, vigor, and vip that you put into your days. And we want you as productive and healthy as possible all the days of your life at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. And we want to be your number one health and wellness resource for your family, your friends, and your loved ones. So God bless you guys. Hope you guys have a fantastic and wonderful day. And just remember, digestion's all in your head. We talked about the brain and its connection to your gut, and we encourage you to tune in next week as KHEA Radio and I at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center keep telling you how to get healthy, stay healthy all the days of your life.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Don't forget, Jesse Duplantis will be at Abundant Life this
Tonight.
evening, 7 o'clock. So I will see you there. Be blessed.